Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Jennifer Bowman with Olympia Piano, and this short video is geared towards pianists who are singer-songwriters. I'm going to show you how to create a simple two-note accompaniment pattern using two notes in your left hand and two notes in your right hand. Over the past year or so, some of my students had been bringing in some pieces by the Scottish artist Lewis Capaldi. We've been learning some of his songs, so I've created a simple exercise to help you play somewhat in that style. I've just created a chord progression in the key of C minor. So quick review on C minor. So here's our natural C minor scale. Sometimes if we want the 5 chord to be major, we'll use the harmonic minor scale, raising that 7th. Those are the notes I chose my progression from. So the 1 chord, C minor, 2, D diminished, E flat was the 3 chord, 4 chord, F minor, 5 chord. Here's where we have 3 choices. And I'm going to suggest all 3 of them to you in this video. So if we're using natural minor, we could have a 5 chord that's minor. If we want a little bit more pull, we might want to use the harmonic minor, which would be a major G chord. And we could also use a G7, a dominant 7 in the 5 position, okay? So 3 choices for the 5, 6 chord, A flat major, 7 chord, B flat major, and then back to C minor. So I just picked a progression from the C minor scale, and here's what it is. C minor, which is 1, A flat, which is 6, E flat, which is 3, and then B flat, which is 7, back to 1, same thing, 6, 3, E flat, and then here we could either have 5 minor, 5 major, or 5, 7, adding that extra key. All right, so that's the progression. 1, 6, 3, 7, 1, 6, 3, 5. And you can choose the 5, and I'll give you some tips for how to do that a little bit later. So now we're going to choose which notes of these chords to play and how to split them between the 2 hands. So our first chord is C minor. So what I'm going to do for this first one is I'm going to take the C and the G, and I'm going to put that in the left hand. Then I'm going to get rid of the G on the top and have this, it's called a voicing. So we'll have 2 C's in it, and then we'll have the other chord members. So C, G, C, E flat. That's going to be our C minor chord. Now, next chord in the progression is A flat. Now, if you notice right here, you see the right hand has those notes that it just played in the C minor chord. So I'm just going to keep those like that. And I'm going to add an octave in the left hand. Open it up a little bit. So we've got kind of closed. Switch to A flat. Now our next chord is the 3 chord. It's an E flat. So I'm going to keep that E on the top with the right hand, and I'm just going to scoot my thumb down to B flat. So our other chord tones are E flat and G. And I think instead of going down to the E flat, I'm just going to have 1 E flat here in the right hand. So I'll get rid of that. So we need another note for the bottom, and I think I'm going to put a B flat there. So we'll start here. Left hand opens up. Then right hand thumb's going to move down to B flat, so we switch to an E flat chord. These 2 fingers are going to squeeze in. Up to B flat, down to G. Okay? Now we're ready for our B flat chord, which is, so look in the right hand. We already have a B flat here. So I'm going to choose to scoot this down to D. Now let's take a look at our left hand. Here's our chord. So we've already got the D, we've already got the B flat, so we're going to move from here to here. E flat to B flat. Okay? Now back to the C chord. There's no notes in common because B flat and C are next to each other in the scale, so they're not going to have any notes in common. So in that case, we're just going to move back up to our first starting position, what we already had. Now, because we already played the A flat chord before, let's do something different this time. So this time, our notes are, let's put the A flat on the top and the bottom, and let's put the E flat here. So the right hand is going to pop up to this black key, left hand's going to move that fifth down to those black keys. Okay, A flat, then to E flat again. Remember, they keep the E flat in common, so let's keep that here. And let's open the left hand down to this low E flat. We'll do an octave for this E flat this time. And then we're going to just slide both of these notes down. So we need a G in it, so we're going to put the G here right next to that A flat. We need a B flat, so we're going to slide that C down to B flat. Okay? And then here's where you get the choice, the artistic choice, all right? You could either play G minor, and by the way, so G minor is this chord. We already have two of the notes right here. We've got a G here, we've got a B flat. So we've got to put a D and a G. Well, and we'll put also a G in the left hand. So we'll move from here. Okay, so that's G minor if we're using that scale. So do you hear how we'll move to the G minor? It sounds kind of more mellow, not a lot of tension there. We create more tension by moving this B flat up to B natural, so then it can in turn lead to the C. So another choice you have is to make the B a natural, make it a G chord. Okay, so we'd come second time through. Okay. Final third choice with that G chord is you can make it a G7 chord, and a G7 chord has 4 notes in it. And let's see what we got for that. So we have E flat, the left hand could play the G, right hand could play the B, left hand could play the D, and right hand could play the F. So you can get the whole 7th chord in there. So there's lots of things to think about when you're creating voicings, but this is a very basic one that you can use for several chord progressions: 5th, octave, 6th in the left hand, 3rds, 4ths, 6th in the right hand. Okay, so now let's go through the whole chord progression. We've figured out the notes. Now I'm just going to call out the fingerings so you can get used to which fingers to use in your right hand. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left hand's just using 1 and 5. So we're going to go from C minor, 1 and 3 in the right hand. Left hand moves to octave for A flat, so stretches out. And then we're going to squeeze the left hand into a 6th. Thumb's going to scoot down. Now we've got a 4th up here. And then here's our first finger switch in the right hand. We are going to use finger 2 instead of finger 3. See that switch? Then we're going to go back to 1 and 3. And then we're going to use finger 5, 1 and 5 in both hands, 1 and 5 in both hands, 1 and 5 in both hands. So right hand, left hand, so now that we've chosen the notes of the chords, let's go through them with a little bit of a rhythm, 4 beats on each chord, and I'm going to call out the finger numbers and the switches and what is switching. Okay, so we're going to start with C minor, 5, 1, 1, 3. So we've got 1, 2, left hand switches out, 2, right hand thumb scoots down, left hand scoots in, 2, 3, 4, left hand thumb, right hand switch to finger 2. Now you're going to shift right next door, 2, 3, 1, 5 in both hands. Right hand leads up to the A flat. Then left hand's going to open up, right hand slides down, 2, 3, 4. Now right hand can stay right there. Or if you want to do a major 5 there, which is also really strong, you can do that from the E flat, or 1, 2, 3 if you want to do a G7. Okay, so 3 choices for that 5 chord, because there's this minor or there's this minor. Okay, fun pattern number 1. All we're going to do is we're going to take our right hand notes, instead of playing at the same time, we're going to play them back and forth, starting with finger 3. It's going to sound like this. Just keep going, same notes. Right hand thumb scoots to B flat. Left hand just has to think about what's switching. Here's the thumb that's switching. Because you have the pedal on, you can actually get ready during the pedal. Pinkies on A flat. Now left hand, get ready for that low note. Squeeze in. Take a little rest, and now I'm going to do that quickly, but I'm going to use a major G chord. So I'm not going to have that black key on my thumb when I get to the 5 chord, okay? C, minor, A flat, E flat, B flat, C minor, A flat. Feels a little different. Or I could do both of those and make it a little longer. Okay, that's pattern number 1. That sounds really great. So now I'm going to give you a variation on that. And the variation is, we're not going to even do anything at all with the left hand. The variation is in the right hand. We can add another note from the chord. So if we've got a C minor chord, here's the other note. And we're just going to add it every other time. We're going to do E flat, C, other note of the chord. So you have to take a little time and figure out what the other note of the chord is. So we'll do that nice and slowly, okay? So we've got E flat, G's the other note of the C minor chord. Okay, now our next chord is A flat. So we're going to just put that A flat on the top, okay? So we're going to go from here to here. We might have to use different fingers if we do it this way. Probably 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1. Okay, now our next chord is an E flat chord. We're going to keep the left hand the same. So we have E flat, B. So we need a G to fill out that chord. You can either use 3 or 2. You're coming from here. I think just keep 2 on that. So 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. Now our next chord is a B flat chord. It's right there for us. Probably 1, 2, 4. 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 1. Now the second time, instead of going E flat to G, I did it backwards. G flat, E flat. Still getting that extra chord note in there. We'll do this one backwards too. A flat first, G first this time. Or major, or 7th. Okay, so variation 2, I call it add the other chord note. And I'm just showing you an order. You can do whatever order you want. You know, you could go, or you could go. We're just adding the other harmonic note. Okay, but I'm going to show you what we just learned. So here we go. Add the other note. 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, or 5 E flat goes to G, or E flat goes to. Okay. Option 3 is we're going to take the original voicing we created and we're going to add what's called the lower neighbor. So here's E flat, here's its lower neighbor, and that's the lower neighbor in our scale. So that one's going to sound like this. 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. Same fingering in the right hand. Gives a little more color. Now here's our original. We're just going to add that D again. Now here, we were playing this with 2. We're going to have to switch it to 3 so we can add its underneath neighbor. Same thing. Then up to here. Then lower neighbor is F. And keep the right hand the same. I'm going to do it a little more quickly, but this time I'm going to play the major G when I get to the 5 chord at the end, okay? So. Lots of choices for that. Okay, so we did simple, we did add the other chord note, we did lower neighbor. Now we're going to do upper neighbor. You hear how these neighbors create color and interest. So just for a moment, it's not in the chord because that note isn't in our C chord, but it makes it interesting. So let's go through that one. So we're going to have a lot of finger 3 to finger 4 in this one, and maybe some finger 5 switches. So here we go with the C minor. 4. Next note in the scale. Keep that the same. Now our thumb switches the top, doesn't switch. We can keep the 2 for this. 3, 4, 3, 4. Here we're going to do 5, 5, 5, 5. Here you could either do 5, 5, or you could do 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. Again, I'll do it more quickly with the major chord at the top. So there's one other thing that you can do once you've learned all those patterns, then mix them up. You can also start playing around with the left hand. We're not going to talk about that in the video, but I'm just going to show you. So I'm going to start regular. Different pattern. So I added some rhythm in the left hand, I've changed the octaves, I mixed up the patterns. That's what you can do too. So I hope you found this video helpful. I love this chord progression and I'd love to hear what you come up with. There is a free download for you on my website, www.olympiapiano.com. Look for 2-note accompaniment pattern, singer-songwriter, that's what it's titled. And it's linked in the description below. If you found this helpful, please share. And you can even send me a donation to help me grow my channel at PayPal. All the information is in the description. Oh, and finally, I'd love to know where you're from. I always say that at the end of my videos. I love to know where you're writing to me from. Leave it in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.